of this is going to be pictures from 14, and I'm going to talk to what the 16 does differently in those situations, and if there's no reference to the 16, it's pretty much a wash between the feature set and the functionality. So destination entry we're going to see is a little bit different. Point of interest entry is going to be a little bit different. We've got slides that are going to talk to both of those. So let's get through it. I want to talk a little bit. I always have a feature that I start with, and I usually just call it old business. Well, today's old business is really new business. I want to talk a little bit about the model year differences between the 14, 15, and 16. 14 was the first year, the introduction of the MyLink system into the Corvette. The 2015 brought with it an updated HMI, human-machine interface, and an updated control module, the ACM. 2016, it's a whole new ballgame. It introduced, again, another updated HMI, updated hardware and software, improved navigation interface, which we have a photo of right down the bottom here. Introduced on-screen en route and mute buttons, which are here. And it introduced Apple CarPlay, which is pictured, and Android Auto. So that's all in the 2016 vehicle. So what we're going to talk about today is basically just, here's our agenda. We're going to talk about getting started with the system. Some of this is going to be more specific to if you brought home a new-to-you Corvette, one that somebody owned previously, so a used car, or a car that was a demo on a dealer's lot or what have you. We're going to go through just some quick, important user settings, some root options. We're going to talk a little bit to then navigation system basics, destination address entry, tips for data entry, points of interest, waypoints, and saving destinations. We're going to talk to how to get access to this online. You'll be able to download a copy of the slides. In all likelihood, you'll be able to download a video of the presentation. And then if time permits, we're going to do a quick Q&A. I'm going to try to leave between 10 and 15 minutes for question and answer, but talking less has never been a strength of mine, so I will apologize in advance if we don't get to a Q&A in this session. I am around for the rest of the afternoon. I am around all day tomorrow, and I'm doing another one of these seminars at 8:30 on Saturday morning. So if you didn't get something covered and you're around on Saturday morning and you'd like to sit in another one, please feel free. Anytime you see me running around out front, on the patio, inside the building, just grab me. If you have a question, I have no problem with going with you out to your car. We'll do a one-on-one session. We'll sit, we'll go over some of the feature set for you. So whatever I can do to help, if you see me, grab me. And as long as I'm not in the middle of something or on my way to do something else for someone else, I'm more than happy to head out with you. So first, clean up a little bit on an older vehicle. If you brought home a 2014, 2015, it's a new-to-you Corvette, always start by restoring the system defaults. I have had more conversations with more customers that disliked the nav because somebody else's last route was still programmed into their GPS, and every time they start the car, it's trying to take them to that person's home. So absolutely, please restore the system defaults. Set your user preferences. It's very, very important that you walk through the menu structure for the system, set up whether or not you want it to use freeways. And we'll talk a little bit about that, whether you want it to use toll roads, what route style you want it to use. Save your home location to a favorite. How many had C6 navigation? In the C6, everybody remember we had that little home icon right on the destination entry screen. You programmed your address into that, you press the home button, it would take you home no matter what you were doing. This doesn't have that, and that's been a complaint that I've heard a lot from customers. The reason it doesn't have it is it doesn't need it. All of the favorite buttons are multi-mode favorites. You can store music files, you can store XM radio stations, you can store AM/FM radio stations. But more importantly, you can store destinations on those favorite buttons. You can store current locations on those favorite buttons. And it's very, very simple to do once you understand how to do it. So it's important, just set one of those as a home, or save it as a contact. Save it as a vehicle contact rather than a phone contact or a cell contact, because you've got more access to those within the vehicle. As much as I hate to say this, read your owner's manual. And then after you read the owner's manual, come back and read the tutorials that I put together. I put all of this out in PDF format. I have a personal website that I have all of these things linked onto. I have a 60-page tutorial that you can go and download that goes in detail through all of these features. This is just basically scratching the surface. And then most importantly, take some time to practice. This is a system that's not completely intuitive. It's not a Garmin. Garmin are written differently. They're written for a different audience. We have higher expectations for you than Garmin has for their customers. You are high potential individuals. So as a result, if you go long periods of time without interacting with the system, the reality is you're not going to be comfortable using the system. And I've also encountered a lot of customers that have, well, I've encountered some customers that have anger management issues, but I have also encountered some customers that have cascading problems because something didn't go the way that they expected it to, and then in their frustration, they build upon that error. I just this morning had to help a customer get home. He owns a 2014, took delivery of his 2016 this past Monday. And the navigation systems are entirely different. He got in the car this morning, went to enter his destination, and I'll talk specifically to the screen when we get to it, but it was a cockpit error. He was doing it wrong. He was frustrated because he couldn't find his city, and I got an earful from him. So I went out to his car at 7 o'clock this morning and got him on his way. So here's the menu structure. These are important for you to go in and set up the system. So the menu structure for navigation, basically within navigation menu, it's going to talk to end resume route. It's going to talk to voice preferences, current location, traffic, map view, routing, display points of interest icons, and personal data. All very important. Up the top of the screen, you can get here by pressing the menu button from within navigation. You can get here by pressing the menu soft key from within any navigation screen once you bring it up on the screen. So set up your view preferences. You have your choice, 3D view, heading up, north up view. Pick the one you like, obviously, and if you pick one that you don't like, you can change them very easily from within the system without having to go back to the navigation menu. Little tip is if you go up to the quick tray where the navigation icon is, if you press that, it will cycle through all of these modes, so you can change them at will. Routing preferences. Most important, make sure use freeways is on. Picture the journey from California to Bowling Green that doesn't include freeways. I've had a couple of interactions with customers that were very frustrated because their car is taking them very circuitous routes to get to where they want to go. The on-ramp was right there. It drove me right past it. It took me 10 miles down. It took you 10 miles down because, as it turns out, use freeways was not on in their system. And it's a very, very, very obedient system. It will do what you ask it to do. Route style. I get a lot of grief from folks about the eco-friendly profile. I have it on this slide because it's actually significant. For those that came from the C6, remember the routing and preference types that we had? There was a normal preference, which was the combination of shorter back roads, faster highway roads. That's what you're going to get from eco-friendly. So the tip for eco-friendly is disregard the eco profile. I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't even go into it because it's going to ask you if you have a roof rack on the car or not. I think we all know the answer to that. However, eco-friendly profile is actually a pretty good combination driving profile, and I suspect that you'll find it's going to take you on most of the shortcuts that you know to get someplace. Fast is going to default to multi-lane, higher speed roads, period. And it's going to put you on a highway whether you want to be on the highway or not. And then it's going to make some choices if in your preferences you've asked it to allow toll roads, or if you've asked it to use carpool lanes, HOV type lanes. So those are your choices to interact with the freeway routing and fast. And then last is short. Short will default to the shortest distance between 2 points. It might take a slower side street and a back road over a freeway. It might also take you through a part of town that you don't necessarily want to drive through in your Corvette. So keep that in mind if you're in an unfamiliar city, because it really is looking for the shortest way to get you from your point A to your point B. Okay, let's look at your navigation screen. When you're under route guidance, you will see the route guidance mute button, and you will have the cancel icon appear on your screen. Top left of your screen is just temperature, climate control settings. In the center is your compass, your date, clock and time settings. If you press on the 1053, it will bring you to your clock and time settings. On the right-hand side of the screen is basically a dialog box. It's there for two purposes. If you're under route guidance and you tap in the body of it, it's going to bring up your route list, so you can go through and view your route. If you have waypoints plugged in, you can then edit your waypoints from that screen. If you touch on the top portion, it's going to cycle between estimated time of arrival, it's going to cycle through estimated time of arrival, estimated time en route, and miles to go. So if you're looking for that specific information as you're on your trip, that's the way to bring it up. Simply touch anywhere up here above the line, and it will cycle those three modes. So you can tell them the crossed flags is your destination, so your estimated time of arrival at your destination is 10:01. You have 795 miles to go, and your estimated time en route is 12 hours and 8 minutes. So while under route guidance, tapping the body of the information box brings up your turn list. So everything that the navigation system has calculated for your pending route is going to be displayed in here, and it's going to tell you distance to your next turn. So the way you read this is in 0.3 of a mile, turn right on South Park Place Southeast. In 270 feet, arrive at, and this is a waypoint icon. So this particular screen is because I have a waypoint trip established, stopping in Atlanta, Marietta to be specific. So touching here will bring up this. Touching exit will bring you back to your navigation screen. So I talked about tapping the navigation icon, and that's in the quick access tray up the top of the navigation screen. If you touch on that, it will cycle through heading up, north up, and 3D top-down mode. And you can cycle through those the whole time while you're driving. If you want to get a better look at the trip ahead, 3D. If you want to get a better look at local streets, zoom out a little bit, go heading up. North up is confusing because the map rotates about the body of the vehicle icon. I prefer heading up because whatever way you're going, the car on the map screen is pointing in that direction. So if you have an upcoming left turn, it will be a left on the map. But that's not always the case in terms of intuitiveness of view with north up. So, along the bottom, interacting with the nav screen, if you tap the screen, you're going to bring up the menu. That will occupy that space, the bottom portion of the screen. If you want to get to a destination, you tap on the destination icon. So along the bottom, you'll find zoom in, zoom out. The map scale can change from 150 feet to 500 miles with subsequent taps on either zoom in or zoom out. If you touch the middle of the map with your finger, you can actually scroll the map around. Scrolling the map around will get it off of its planned view for your route. So if you want to bring it back quickly, just touch the reset icon. If you need to enter a new destination, and a waypoint is also a destination, touch on destination. If you change something in the settings, touch on menu. Differences for 2016, first for destination entry. So everybody with a 2016 car should be somewhat familiar with this series of screens. When you touch that destination icon from here, in 2016, what you're presented with is this. It's basically walking you through what type of destination. Do you want to go to an address? Do you want to go to an intersection? Do you want to go to a point of interest? Do you want to interact with your contact list? Or do you just want to go to your recents? These are all of the same choices you have in 14 or 15. They're just presented in a larger format, more intuitive, icon-based choice. Next screen, if you select address, for example, you're going to be presented with is this. This, again, is more like interacting with a modern portable GPS. So the first thing it's going to ask you is basically the first thing you need to do, and this was the problem that the customer had this morning. Pay attention. It's going to set you up based on your proximity. If you're in Ohio, that box is going to say Ohio. If you're in Kentucky, it's going to say Kentucky. The presumption is that you want to go to a destination that's within a reasonable proximity from where you are. Most people want to use it to go out to dinner, to go shopping, to go to the beach, to go here, to go there, but generally around you. So with the old system, it defaulted to proximity-based searches. So if you simply entered 350 Corvette Drive while sitting in Florida, it would give you 20 results that had the word Corvette in their street name, but it wouldn't. None of them would be this museum, which frustrated a lot of owners because then, of course, the comments come that even the Corvette navigation doesn't know where the Corvette museum is. It does. It's in there, I promise. So, always verify where you're trying to get to first. Enter the state. Next, enter the city. Then enter your street. Then enter your house number. Always want to give it as much accurate information as you possibly can. The nice thing about the new data entry is it goes back to, again, for those that had C6s, it's a predictive keyboard. If it is not a letter that's in a word that it recognizes for the name of the street you're typing, the keys will be grayed out. The reason these are all gray on this one is because my cursor was in the house number field. It only wants house numbers. It doesn't want 6A or it doesn't want ASDF. It only wants 1 through 9 and 0. So these are blue. They're usable in the house number field. If it's not a number, you can't put it in that field. So now, backing up to 2014, 2015 vehicles, navigation destination is a little bit different. You tap on the destination icon as seen up the top. And the first thing you're presented with is what type of a destination do you want to go to. If you select address, you're going to be presented with a keyboard. So you can type anything you want into those fields. There are no restrictions, it's not predictive, it's not going to correct you if you type something wrong. It will try to search on whatever you give it to search on. So you can enter destination requests by voice recognition or screen entry via the keyboard. You can search on addresses, you can search on intersections, you can search on streets, freeway on-ramps. You can search recent destinations, or you can go to your contacts. There's a point of interest icon. And lastly, any destination that you've saved as a favorite. So, what does it do? It uses keyboard autocomplete. So if you have entered something similar before, as you start typing it in, you'll see it coming up in that address window. When you're typing in that window, pay attention to where that cursor ends up. You want to make sure it's at the end of the line when you hit enter so it doesn't truncate your entry. I've had that happen to a lot of people. It starts autofilling that address information, and then somebody sees the word, but you'll notice one's dark gray, one's light gray. If you hit enter at the wrong time, it's going to truncate your entry, leave off what it doesn't think you wanted, and it's going to give you bad data in your input. So here is an example of what an address search will return. Now, it's going to attempt first to search based on the full address. So if you type in 600 Corvette Drive and it can find 600 Corvette Drive, the first thing you're going to see at the top of the list is 600 Corvette Drive. But notice what starts happening after that. It got the 600, but now it's Cornet Road. And it got the 600, but now it's Cornet Chapel. And it got the 600, but now it's Cornet Road. That's what it will do. It tries to answer your question. You said, I want to find 600 Corvette. It says, I can find this, but I also found these. Do any of these help? So results are shown grouped by distance, and the system is going to use logic based on where you are to try to enhance your results. Now here's another interesting one. It's going to use the entire searchable area to start with, This is, again, specific to 14 and 15 because it does not ask you to refine that search. In 16, it asks you to refine that search by city, by street, and so on. This one, you can simply type whatever you want into this dialog box. Sitting in Florida, Sebring to be specific, at the track, typed in 350 Corvette Drive. It returns 20 results, all in Florida, that have either 350 in the name, Corvette in the name, Corvette Drive, Corvette Boulevard, but look where they are. And again, they're any place but Bowling Green, Kentucky. So, how do you fix that? You fix that by knowing what it's going to do. It's going to try to search your proximity. So fix that by entering 350 Corvette Drive in either Bowling Green, Kentucky, or the zip code. I prefer zip codes, less digits to remember, less digits to type on the keyboard when you're in a hurry to type a digit, less opportunities for mistake. So now, in Sebring, Florida, if I type 350 Corvette Drive, comma, 42101, lo and behold, there's only one, and there it is. So the difference in getting 20 or 30 or 50 incorrect search results based on where you're trying to go versus getting one correct result was a matter of just those 5 digits. So if you enter comma and zip code, it's a good idea to get to know the zip codes for where you're going. It's made me a lot better about how I enter contact information into my smartphone because it can interact with all of that information. So destination addresses provide as much accurate information as possible. If you don't know the correct zip code, it would probably be a good idea if you didn't enter the incorrect zip code, because again, it will try to take you to where you're asking it to take you. And when you enter things wrong, this is the likely result that you're going to get, which is very frustrating when you're trying to get from point A to point B and using the system to get there. So missing information is better than inaccurate information, but missing information can result in unpredictable results as well. So if you want to navigate to an intersection, there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can simply ask it to take you to Main Street in 42101, or if you want to get to Main Street and State Street, type it in just that way, Main Street space State Street, comma, 42101, and it will bring up that first intersection that's actually in the search list. So when you enter it this way, it says, okay, you gave me partial information, here are the results that I received. I found 3 intersections and I found 6 streets that roughly meet the criteria that you've asked me to search for, and here they are. So then when you choose one of those search results, you'll then get your list of the information that it found, and then you can work from there. Okay, contact integration. The vehicle has access to 2 different contact lists. It has access to a contact list that is what's called a vehicle list. The vehicle list is empty to start with by default. It becomes populated by you saving a contact to your vehicle contact list. The way that you do that is from the Go Save screen. Whenever you have entered destination address, the very first screen that you'll see after you select the search result is the screen with the address and the little checkered flag, and down in the lower left-hand corner it says Go, in the middle it says Call, and on the right-hand side of that screen it says Save. If you press Save, that will allow you to save it to your vehicle's contact list. The second contact list that the system has access to is the contact list with any Bluetooth phone that you have paired to the vehicle. Source of frustration for folks because they enter a contact, they run out to their car, they hop in the car, and it's not there. The reason it's not there is because the car is trying to be more efficient. The car downloads a snapshot of the contact list that it has in front of it currently. It will refresh when you've added something and add your contact, plug your phone back in or connect your phone again via Bluetooth, but it's not instantaneous. So if you are in your house, enter it real quick in your phone, run out to the car, and are ready to hop off and go, it can be 5 or 6 minutes or longer before that contact database is updated as far as the snapshot that the car sees and what it will allow you to interact with. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody understand what I'm trying to put forth here? Yes? Show of hands if yes. Show of hands if no. Winning, yes. Funny. All right. Navigation to contacts. Contact selection from the vehicle list or connected Bluetooth device. Again, remember we have 2 contact lists at our disposal. You can change the contact list between them at any time while you're interacting with the system. If you have one saved as a vehicle contact and it's on your phone, you can get to it by just changing it and you'll see it. Like in this screen, select any contact with a checkered flag icon next to it. So on the screen there are 3 that you can actually navigate to. You may be able to call the other ones, they may have a phone number in it, but this is because you're in the navigations part of the system and you've asked it to navigate to a contact by choosing the contact icon in the destination choices. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about points of interest. Points of interest in the 14 and 15 cars is accessed by pressing on the POI icon after you make a selection of destination. The first choice, and pay attention always to this, is it's going to try to navigate to points of interest nearby. That's what it defaults to. So POIs search by name, by category name and phone number. It searches by proximity. The first thing it's going to do is search nearby. So you have to tell it if you want it to search someplace else. The first 20 options are going to be presented. Down the very bottom of the list is a Show Next icon. And after you get past those first 20, pressing Show Next will bring up the next 10 that you can gain access to. Scrolling the map will update new POI icons that were found in its search. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you can scroll your finger on that map and you can change that list. If you hit the scroll bar, you're going to raise and lower the selection choices. So pressing on a POI from the nap screen will give an icon to display its destination information. So this is one of my favorite ones because nobody does this. Everybody wants to go someplace specific. The system is intuitive enough and user-friendly enough that if you feel like pizza, just tell it you want pizza. I always say give as much accurate information as you want. If you don't know the name of the pizza place that you want to go to, you can't search for it by name. But if you enter pizza or seafood or American, it's going to bring up a search result specifically to what you're looking for based on the information that those businesses have provided to the navigation database. You can always further refine your choice. Remember, it starts with nearby. The way that you fix that is press where it says search near. There are 4 total choices. 2 of them are available when you are not under route guidance, and all 4 are available when you are under route guidance. And it's pretty intuitive, and you'll understand why that's the case. The 2 that become available when you're under route guidance are along route and near destination, for obvious reasons. If you're not trying to get somewhere, you have no destination and there is no route established. When you are, some of those things are important. If you're on a road trip and you need gas, you can do a POI search along route for a gas station that's coming up. If you're on a road trip and you're hungry, you can do a POI search along route for a restaurant. If you're going somewhere, you can do a POI search at that destination for a hotel that you may want to stop at, or for a gas station that you particularly favor, or a shopping center, or a GM dealership. So those are the search areas that you can define. In fact, if you select another location, you can put in any zip code in the 50 states, and you can search for seafood restaurants in Hawaii. You just tell it that you want to go to zip code 96815. So keep that in mind in case you're ever going to Hawaii for seafood in your Corvette. All right. The 2016 point of interest selection has been refined. It's more intuitive. Again, because people were entering a POI search, not expecting it to be a proximity search based on where they were getting erroneous results. The first stuff that was always coming up were things that were very near where they were, and they were determined they wanted to get to somewhere else. So the first thing when you select the POI icon on a 2016, the first thing you get is it's going to ask you to define where do you want me to look. So it's a little bit more intuitive. So it should minimize some of those search errors and some of that frustration that comes out. But with the 14 and 15 vehicle, if you define it and know that you can define it, you can avoid some of that frustration on your own without having to buy a 16, although that's not a popular choice. Please buy 2016s, 2017s. Nobody laughed. Nobody found it. That's better. Let's interact a little, people. How many people are asleep right now? What can I do to make it better? Or is it? Ooh, I can work on that, but I don't think the perfect system could do that. Maybe in about 20 years. All right. Continuing on points of interest, searching via any method, and no matter what vehicle year you're in, searching via any method is going to bring up a list of POI categories. Selecting a category is going to generate a list of POIs. Selecting a POI is going to bring up a navigation details screen. This is the Go Save screen that I was referring to. So here's the Go Save, okay? If you're going to navigate to it, you're going to press Go. If you want to call and make a reservation, you can press Call. And if there's a number entered in the database, this button will be highlighted. And if not, it'll be grayed out, and you can't interact with it if there's no phone number, so don't worry about it. And most importantly, if you want to save it, you save it by pressing that button. If you select the Info button at the top of the screen while you have this screen up specific to a point of interest, it's going to bring you up an information dialog box, and it's going to give you a little bit more detail. It's going to give you what chain it's associated with, show you the phone number. Now you see you have the option to call. The address remains. If you want to navigate to it, press Go. If you want to save it, press Save. Okay, how many people display their point of interest icons on their screen all the time? Yeah, I was afraid of that. And you do it because you don't want the cluttered screen and you don't want to see all of that information. The good news is you can change that with one keystroke. If you change the map scale above 1/2 mile, the point of interest icons disappear. However, it's not nearly as easy to bring them back if you don't have them set to display on your screen. And the reason I think you want them to display is because they're interactive. First of all, their icons give you a general idea of what they are. More importantly, alone in a vehicle without someone in the passenger seat allowing you to use and interact with the navigation screen, if you press on one of those POI icons, you will get to the Go Save information screen, so you can navigate to it with the press of a button. So on the screen here is the exact same map screen. The top, below 1/2 mile, and the bottom at 1 mile. And all you have to do is hit either the zoom in or zoom out to make either one of those screens happen at will. So if you go into the settings and turn on point of interest icons, where you'll have them at your disposal when you need them, all you need is one tap of the map scale and you can make them appear and disappear at will. If you choose not to have them on the screen, no matter where your map scale is, you're never going to have the point of interest icons, and you're not going to be able to get a graphical look at what's upcoming, be it gas stations or restaurants or banks or hospitals, but you won't be able to navigate to them as simply as the button press. So I strongly recommend the use of the POI icons. It's absolutely a personal preference. No one is going to come to your house and chastise you for not having your POI icons on. But if you come back here next year, I'm going to ask the question again, and I'm going to recommend that you turn them on again. So unless you don't want me to shut up, you'll do it. All right. Waypoints. Everybody use waypoints?
Yes.
Yes, show of hands for waypoints? All right. Waypoints are awesome on this system because, first of all, it's just another destination. You go in, you enter it exactly the same way. Once you're under route guidance, if you attempt to enter another destination, it's going to ask you, it's going to tell you that you're currently in a route, and it's going to ask you what do you want me to do with it. Do you want to add it as a waypoint to your current route, or do you want to set it as a new destination? Your choice. If you add it as a waypoint, now you have a waypoint trip. If you press that dialog box that I was talking about on the very first screen that shows your route list, you now have a new option that appears for waypoints. You can get back to your turn list just by pressing that icon, but your waypoints appear. You can rearrange those. You can have the car system optimize your waypoint trip. If you want to get the circuitous route from starting location through all of your errands and back home, let it optimize it. It'll take you to the shortest route to each of those and get you back around in the most timely fashion to home, completing your route. If you want to go to certain things a certain way, you can raise the priority of a specific waypoint just by going into the waypoint and then you can advance or delete or move down some of those waypoint destinations. All right, saving a destination. How do you save a destination? Where can you save a destination? You can save addresses, contacts, points of interest, maps, all to your favorites. You can save addresses, contact, points of interest, points on the map to the vehicle contact list, both. It's done two different ways. If you want to save them to your favorites button, press on the chevron. That brings up your number of favorites, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can swipe up on that to bring up more, the next 5, 15. You can display up to 60 at will. You can swipe side to side with those if you choose to only display 5. If you swipe left to right, it will take you from 1 through 5 to 6 through 10. If you swipe up, it will show you the next 5 in a second row. If you want to save, you always want to do it from this screen. It's the only way to save either to a favorite or to a vehicle contact. So in order to save a destination as a favorite, press the chevron here, brings up your favorites list, again from the Go Save screen. Press and hold the favorite that you want to store it to, and you will see the address now appear on your favorite. So now when you want to navigate to that from any subsystem in the infotainment system, if you're on music, if you're on phone, if you're on XM radio, if you're on a media SD card or a USB device, if you want to go home, swipe up or hit the chevron to bring up the menu key, press on that, and it'll shortcut that entire process and bring you right back to this screen where you simply hit go and you can go home. So you don't have to search for it. So this replaces the home icon in the C6 navigation system, or from the C6 navigation, if you just simply save it as one of the multi-mode favorites. Everybody use that? Everybody know about it? Did anyone not know about it? And are you going to use it now? All right.
If you say that one last couple sentences, I might try.
All right. Tell me what point to rewind to.
I lost your laser there, your corner. You went back to the other screen.
This screen here?
Yes, sir.
So if you've saved that as a favorite, no matter what you're doing in the vehicle after that, it's now always going to be favorite number 7. If you're listening to music and you hit the chevron key, it's going to bring up these, and number 7 is always now going to be this address that you saved. No matter where you are, if you're in navigation, if you're under route guidance, no matter what you're doing, if you simply press on that, the next screen you see will be this one. And press go, and you're off to the races to get to where you want to get to. All All right, saving your current location. Does everybody know that you can save your current location without searching for it or trying to find it, entering it alphabetically? If you simply press on the vehicle icon that displays on the map screen, it's going to bring up a dialog box of, whoa, that was fun, sorry. Okay, good, it was backwards. Apologize for that. If you press on the vehicle icon, it's going to bring up a dialog box. If you press on the dialog box, guess where it brings you? Go save screen. From there, you can navigate to it with the go button, or you can save it as a favorite or as a vehicle contact. You can put it on your favorites with the chevron, or you can save it to the vehicle contacts. So you can always save your current location. Why is that useful? You're there. Why do you have to worry about it? Well, if you're in an unfamiliar town, you stopped at a hotel for the night and you're going to go out to dinner, and you know you got there because your GPS or your map or you saw it from a highway sign, but you're going to drive off and go search for a place to eat in an unfamiliar place, and you want to get back to your hotel. Get in the car, start up the GPS, press that, press that, press that, or that, and save it, and then you can navigate back to it very easily. If you used the GPS to get you there, it will also be a recent destination under destination address types, entry types. Okay, saving points of interest. Exact same scenario. POIs can be saved as favorites. They can be saved again as vehicle contacts. If you don't want to have to search for it again, simply put it in one of the favorite buttons. All the same format. You see a common theme forming here of this Go Save screen. All of these things, if you want to save them as favorites or if you want to save them as vehicle contacts, all of these screens, if you want to navigate to them, this is the screen that's going to get that accomplished for you. Very easy from there to also manage these, because when you enter an address, addresses are not necessarily very intuitive, but if you want to rename it, you can do that. You can manage your favorites from the home page settings menu, the gear wheel, and you can manage, select radio manage favorites, you can arrange, you can delete, you can rename to modify what that says. So just select it and you have a choice. You can rename it, you can delete it, and done once it's selected. You can manage vehicle contacts slightly differently. This is a little confusing for folks because you manage favorites from one location, you manage vehicle contacts from another location. The main reason for that, favorites are multi-mode. So basically you go to the main menu to manage favorites. If you want to manage vehicle contacts, they are saved generally through the navigation system or via the telephone system. So you go to that subsystem to manage those. So simply select the menu, select Edit Contacts, and scroll down the list, select the contact that you want to edit, and then you'll be able to delete or rename your entries there. I think I'm doing pretty good. That's 15 minutes in case anybody was wondering. The pain is almost over. I just need to make this stop. Sorry about that. Okay, so working with the favorites menu, you can manage it via gestures, you can manage it via the chevron. Gestures meaning you can swipe it up, swipe it left, swipe it right, like I was talking about. All right, we're going to quickly move into updating your contacts. Is everybody using the most current map data that they're aware of in their system? Does everybody know that you can update your own map data? No. No? Okay, show of hands to who didn't know you could update your map data. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Here's how you do it. You need to go to gmnavdisk.com. In your version history, you can actually look at what your map version is. You have to go to Settings, Vehicle, Software, and scroll down the bottom, and there's a section that says Map Data. And when you look at map data, you're likely to see one of these three numbers. So basically, If you have this one, there's 2 newer than you. If you have this one, there's 1 newer than you. And pretty soon the 17 data will be coming out. This tends to be updated in the October timeframe, September, October. So if you want to wait until October to make sure you're getting the next most recent one. But basically go to gmnavdisc.com. You're going to need to have your VIN number ready to actually place the order. And you're going to buy it. It's not free. Yeah, I just heard somebody comment on that. No, this is not a navigation with LM. It doesn't have lifetime map updates. It's $159. It takes 50 minutes to do the update. Your vehicle should be running. You don't want to get partway through an update and have your battery die, so you should have your vehicle running. You can be driving the vehicle while the map is updating. I'd recommend you drive someplace where you know where you are, because you don't have access to the navigation system. But this, I don't know if everybody can see this, but this is a navigation map data update. It is a USB thumb drive. Get into your car, start your car, remove your SD cards, any phone cords or anything that you have plugged into USB slots. Plug this USB thumb drive into your vehicle. It's going to acknowledge that an updated map file is available. Would you like to install it? Say yes. It will begin the install process. It's going to put a status bar and a progress bar up on your screen. And it goes very quickly to 50%. Don't get too excited by that, because the next 50%, it's basically the first 7 minutes is the first 50%, the remaining 43 minutes is the other 50%. So it looks like it's moving a lot faster than it is, and it's not. I make all of these tutorials, these presentations. Yes?
Does that download through OnStar, or do you have to have your Wi-Fi set up on your car?
Actually, neither. It's all based from this USB drive.
Okay, thank you.
So all of that content is stored on the USB drive. It's about 8.3 gig worth of data on the drive. Plug it in. It's a pretty quick update as far as that much data goes, considering you're updating a vehicle system. But when you're done, it will tell you that it's completed. It will tell you what your new version number is, so you will get complete feedback. It is tied to the VIN number of the vehicle. No, you cannot share these with your club. No, you cannot share them with your friends. It can be used on your car and your car only. It will need to know what your VIN is when starting. It will compare that VIN number. When you plug it in, you will get an error message that says invalid map file data, and it won't even start the update process if you try to do it on a vehicle that VIN doesn't match. So, however, when this was originally talked about, it was a 4-hour update. Anybody that came to my infotainment introduction back in 2013, there was talk of this being a roughly 4-hour update. There was talk of it having to be done at the dealership via Tech 2. None of that came to pass. A lot of good people did a lot of good work to make it possible for you to update the system yourself at home. So go get the current maps. You're going to order this from a company basically called Here, HERE.com. That's who GM Navdisc is partnering with for the MyLink map data. If you want to check and see if address information or street information has been corrected, go to here.com and enter the street and address information, and you can get a look on their map online if what you're looking to see improved is on there. A lot of people that live in newer subdivisions, for example, your street might not be in the nav database. At here.com, you can report missing information. You can also verify information that might be on the next version. So with that said, I maintain my own website with all of these tutorials, the videos that Bob so kindly takes of my presentations while I'm here. Woo! Round of applause for Bob. All of those are available on a website that I maintain. I have tutorials for creating personal POI files that you can add to the navigation database, for creating playlists for thumb drives, for all of this content that was in here but in larger form. That's the website to go to, so anybody with a camera, if you want to take a picture of that, you can go to there, go to 7th generation, go to navigation, all of those things are going to be listed there for you to download and view. And that's it.
Any questions for Bob? Question back here?
Yeah, when I try to scroll on the screen, using backslash, the application number, I get a vehicle.
Really?
Yeah.
Could I come and see that? All right, I'd like to understand specifically the circumstances that happens. I want to see if I can understand what's going on. You're welcome. Yes?
How current is the material when you get the update? In other words, when was it created?
It will tell you on here's website, and that's a wide margin for certain things in terms of how they update. There are some things that if they were requested by a lot of people, and if it was a rather egregious error, it will probably be updated fairly quickly, but it can be as much as 3 years out, and you still may not see something that you have reported on their update disks. I see 2 sets of hands. Let's go.
Down in the front, third row here. Yeah.
Like, yes. Yes. Those were all shown from a 2014. And, yeah. It doesn't do well with street abbreviation ST period. Skip that. It doesn't do well with boulevard, BLVD period. Just put in boulevard or ST. But if you are separating data fields, it's effectively a comma separated value. So if you put in 350 Corvette Drive, comma, space, 42101, it will recognize commas in that context. Okay, I'm going to need to come see your car too.
Oh, put back to the last screen that you said they might want to copy.
Absolutely. Yes?
What's there a zip code point of entry for a 16?
There is a zip code point of entry for a 16. No, city.
Oh, there's no zip code.
No zip code.
Why not?
They weren't smart enough.
The reason I recommend people use zip code is because of keyboard errors entering city and state. Since you're entering city and state here, zip code is a little less important. So that's the distinction between the 14s and the 15s and the 16s.
If you were trying to enter 123A as a house number,
Yes.
how would you
No,
enter the A?
you won't.
Okay.
What is the website for your PDFs again? The red line, is that it?
redlion.us.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Question way in the back.
Is it easy to be able to customize wrap?
Very, very easy, yes.
I know how to do it with Garmin, but
Yeah, in here, right from within the vehicle, it just becomes a series of destinations. Enter them, create a waypoint, enter it, create a destination, enter an address, create a waypoint, enter an address, create a waypoint, enter an address, create a waypoint, and then arrange that list to make it a destination route for however you want to go.
so you don't do it on a PC and download it.
I do not do it on PC and download, I do it right from the vehicle.
That question of weather, you punch weather, you try to scroll it, zoom it in. I can't get it in very close, is that just the nature of the beast?
That's the nature of the beast. The weather screen doesn't come in as close as the navigation map screen does. It's probably half the final resolution of the map screen.
It's actually actually mine on the Chevy, it looks like it's, I just
Yeah.
can't get in
Yeah.
the area.
We got a gentleman over here, New Jersey area. New Jersey area, you got a question? Hello, hello? He had his hand up. You got a question? No? You got a question?
A smartphone, I added a new destination or a new contact
Yes.
3 days ago, and it still doesn't show up on the system.
Wow, another car I gotta go see.
Welcome to have you.
Great, yep, thank you. Grab me right after this and we'll go and take care of that. How are we doing towards? Okay.
Yeah, we're okay right this minute. For the ones that's got cars he wants to look at, you probably should just walk down here real quick, catch up with Paul, and then he'll work through you guys, because we're gonna have to clear out for the next thing
Yeah,
here.
we're okay. 2:15 is Kai's start.
Okay, well, so we got a few more
I've
minutes.
got one more question down the bottom that have been raising their hand.
Okay?
Talk about Ryan plans. I agree a lot of Ryan plans on DC.
Yeah.
That particularly addresses just drag and waypoints. and
Sure,
waypoints.
yeah.
Can you do that and then import it into these systems?
You can do it right on this system. I'm not as familiar with generating PC-based instruction sets. There was talk of a way to do it. I haven't done anything with it, so I can't fairly answer that question. Yeah, OnStar will download a route to your car from your PC, but that's only if you have it, directions and connections, active subscriptions, so I tend to steer clear of, you gotta have the right plan.
Any other questions? Back here.
Yeah, using the voice entry,
Yes.
do you push the button and hold it to talk, or do you push the button, release it, talk? How do you employ that?
Which voice entry are you trying to do? To interact with the infotainment system in the car?
Yes.
Single press, it's gonna come up, and then you have to define what you're wanting to talk to it about. Tell it navigation, tell it destination.
So you only have to push it
So
one
it's just,
time?
it's a momentary press, and then it will interact with you to try to help you define what you need it to do. So you can tell it that you want to navigate to city center, or that you want to navigate to town hall and the zip code, and it will do that. But you need to start with navigation, destination, and then where you're trying to go.
But the question was, you just push it momentarily?
Momentary press.
And then after that, it's just waiting on you for answers.
Correct.
Okay.
If you press and hold it, then you're interacting with Siri. Unless you have a 16, then the Siri is the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto piece.
Another question there? Yeah.
You want to enter an intersection on an interstate for your destination,
Yes.
what's the correct sequence to use?
The syntax for that is going to be the first route, space, the second route, and then hit enter, or hit go. So no commas, no need to separate those values. So like if you were going to do Main Street and State Street, it's Main Street, space, State Street, comma, zip code, or space.
How about an exit number?
I don't know if it will actually accept exit numbers. Yep.
What's that?
Exit numbers?
Exit numbers? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, because the GPS system will help identify the area. but,
If you know the route
those change
number,
much.
if you know the route number or the street name that that exit is taking you to, that would be the way to get.
Like I-75 exit 42.
What state?
Kentucky.
That's why you can't use it.
Kentucky.
Yeah, it's not going to know exit 42. Not from a destination entry standpoint.
Any other questions?
Going once, going twice. All right, everybody, thank you very much for your time.